What's up, noobs? I just did that last time. Whatever. It's episode 529.
Yep.
Deal with it. It's time for some old.
Yep, some 1970s Liubao. So thank you, Sue, for sending this tea. So unfortunately, my ratio is going to be a little off because I'm using the rest of the sample. I'm using about 5 grams. This is, a little big, but so we're going to, steep these for a little bit longer. I mean, that's part of the skill of this brewing is trying to get the best brew of what you have, and sometimes you don't have perfect conditions.
Will you just use less water in the pot itself? It's hard to eyeball.
No, I won't, because you lose some heat if you do that.
Yeah.
So I will just, the other parameter you can play around with is the time, and so that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to just be pushing this along.
As a tea noob myself, I do just use a little less water in the pot. One thing that is important to do, no matter what, is to make sure to preheat the pots, though, so that it becomes actually relevant. This little distinction is real, but it will certainly not matter nearly as much as just making sure your tea wears heat.
Yeah, you, especially when you're doing something this old, you want that to be hot. Very important. Which
is why we actually pressure cook.
Yeah. I mean, stuff like this, people will regularly, after the session, boil the leaves after.
Yeah.
Especially because, it's like not every day that people, certainly that I can brew something from the 1970s. So,
absolutely, yeah.
It's just trying to get everything out of it.
Totally, yeah.
It's a really nice clarity there.
Beautiful
really,
color.
Great color,
yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, very clean. Pretty amazing. Which is just hard to... Stuff deteriorates. Just dust happens. So, taken care of.
Just that. Yeah. And this is definitely in the earthy vein. We are firmly in the garden. Get out your garden analogies. Get out your pickaxe and your hoe. Because we are going to...
I smell some pencils. Oh, man.
It's been a while since we had the classic note of pencil shaving.
Such a beautiful molasses smell in that. Really great. Wow, I'm excited to drink this.
Do people still use pencils? Is that analogy? We're going to be 70 and doing it? We don't know what you're talking about.
I know contractors and anyone in construction is using a pencil every day of the week, yeah.
Nailed that audience. The poor drinking construction workers.
I've done enough, getting a big old honker of a pencil and cutting some wood. I've cut wood with stuff, saws, blades.
Oh.
Speaking of which, blade for anyone? Come on.
Are they making it?
I wish. Today on random thoughts that come into my mind.
Okay. Blade 3 sucks.
So what is it about Liubao that makes it different than Pu'er?
Well, it's grown in a different area, so that's part of it.
One of the biggest pieces of it.
The big thing with Liubao, too, is generally it's the smaller leaf varietal, which is more common with other teas, too. So you have that as well. But the processing of Liubao has changed quite a bit, too. At this period, I think most of them would have been raw Liubaos, which means that's a little bit closer to raw Pu'er.
Sure.
There's greener aspects, and then you would age it to get that. I feel like they are consumed. So, Pu'er is confusing because it's made in Yunnan, but it's consumed by people historically mostly outside of Yunnan, like Hong Kong. So that's why you have those kind of Hong Kong traditional storage. I think I don't know who exactly traditionally consumed Liubao. I think it might have still been the Cantonese folk, but I'm not 100% positive on that. But really associated with consumption in places like Malaysia.
Yeah.
So Sue is Chinese Malaysian. So
cool.
So it makes sense that she, in some ways, that she would have this.
And I'm so ignorant on these things. Liubao is from Fujian, right?
No, it's from.
Isn't it? East?
No.
East of Yunnan,
right? Maybe. I think it's from Guangxi, somewhere like that.
Okay, so
yeah,
still
which
east,
I think is
but
east.
not as far.
Yeah, Yunnan is pretty southwest, so it's like the Arizona of China, and just
that's funny.
I don't know if it actually is, but it is not exactly like
oh my god
the prime areas you'd think of when you talk about China.
So good.
Yeah. So what are your earthy notes that you're getting from this?
So very much a lot of overlap with ripe flavors. Lots of wood, but there's a very sweet, dark, caramely,
It's pretty lively, I gotta say. Like, this is not...
minerally a little bit.
This is still pretty active in the mouth.
It's really nice.
It's not, like, completely mellowed.
No. A little bit of a tartness.
Yeah. And you can tell I brewed
Dark
that
flavors.
fairly hard, so we are getting maximal flavor here,
So
hopefully.
good. So it's still it's very sweet. Sweeter than a lot of ripes. Yeah, I wonder what this material was like originally. This is so different.
Could have been quite strong. In fact, I would guess it's quite strong. Just judging from this, which has clearly undergone, a number of years of aging.
So, I couldn't tell you how Liubao is so dramatically different processed than Pu'er, but I do know, just purely from the region, that Pu'er has to be coming from Yunnan. But yeah, it's interesting because I think all these different farmers have these different points at which they do the fixing and the shashing, and they do the how even the amount of ambient humidity in the region is going to influence the length of withering, and as a result, the length of the oxidation from the withering process, and just all going to play into the character of the tea. And then, of course, you can do lots of different specific stuff to the processing itself. It's really fun for me just to watch tea processing and think okay. Tea master could know that, there's a lot of fruit from this one garden. Let's try to emphasize that. Or play it down because it doesn't match with their earthiness and things like that. There's just so much here. Getting a little bit of the graphite pencil shaving. It's almost like a little bit of a bitterness.
Yeah, no, that's what I mean. It's it's still kind of pretty active. I mean, considering
sweet,
we are on a pretty low ratio, man. This pot is not liking. Maybe I just need to pour.
Wow, strong. Really sweet. So good. Yeah.
Yeah, nice.
Thank you, Sue.
Deep, heavy, warming flavor profile.
Yeah. It's like everything you hope for out of ripe. Out of shopware, but you never get. It's just so much richer and complex, and there's more body and molasses and
there's certain things that you can you get out of these old teas that you're just never gonna get from a ripe. From the last 20 years or whatever.
Totally. It's just been cooked out.
Yeah.
Or enzymed or oxidized or whatever.
Yeah. Something like that.
Here we go. Look at that viscosity. Wow.
Cheerio.
Cheers. Oh, man. I wish I could share these with all my tea friends.
I feel like this is almost just a little bit of the depth of this tea it's a little bit more than I would usually expect from one of these. It's it's not huge in the mouth, but
No, I agree.
It feels it's going down the body.
I was thinking one way I described it recently was that really exquisite teas can kind of be in a narrow band of flavors, but really create so much depth in those flavors to expand that register. So you might, have a really light, high, crisp green tea, for example, but it can have attributes of it that are inside of that light crispness, have lots of depth of earthiness and lots of, brightness. And anyway, I just feel like this tea, it occupies a lower register, but there's still so much. It's just very dynamic. There's a lot of variety in it.
Yeah.
It's really, really tasty. Lots to enjoy just sitting in it and drinking having all of the flavors coming back up and into my sinuses and just the whole, it's awesome.
Would you say that this tea is even for the older teas that we bring onto the show, do you think this tea stands out at all?
Yeah, I do. Because those can get a little, I don't want to say muddied, because muddied is disservice to those teas. We've had plenty of teas that are incredible, but this is so clean. And to your point, it's still pretty lively. There's still things going on. I can still imagine there being aging in this tea. Strangely enough,
I would
there's just a lot of complexity. Obviously, it's got plenty of strength and density in the flavor profile itself. This is one interesting attribute of tea drinking that I've been thinking about more and more, especially with the Japanese teas, is the pour. Because the pours can take a while.
I know.
Your quote unquote flash steeping can take 20 minutes, 20 seconds rather, just 20 minutes. There's something like
got
this.
A real problem.
Yeah, holy smokes, cold brewing it.
Yeah. See your gastro, your gastro, whatever that doctor is, gastroenterologist. There.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you can see I'm having all sorts of problems with this teapot clogging up on me right now. But if it's going to clog up on any tea and result in a little bit stronger brew, this is not a bad one for it to happen. Which is one reason I'm using this.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah, yeah, really nice. And again, I think one of the best telltale signs of a really high quality tea. And we were just after filming our last episode, still sitting there drinking the tea, right? Like it's still really there. And I know I'm gonna like leave, but also have a lot of the kind of like charcoal mineral flavors that are happening in this tea.
I mean, it's like how it lingers and how you feel afterwards too. And I feel like the last tea had it, but this tea has it almost on like another 2 levels down or something like that.
There's a pine resinous kind of little hints of kind of turpentine notes are getting I feel like you get old enough, these teas, it's just hard to maintain this kind of quality. And this is really next level. This is special.
Right. I mean, there's a certain like tier of tea that, unless you can really... Well, I take that back, because you can buy some pretty high quality Liubaos from places like Teas We Like, who sells a lot of these Malaysian stored Liubaos. But there is a certain tea quality, like I don't think they sell this one, that you just, if you taste it, it's because someone is just being very generous, which is the case of Sue here, as opposed to like, it's like someone is, as opposed to spending like $10,000, which neither of us are going to just drop $10,000 in one tea or something like that. At least not until 2026. So. Check it out, 2026.
Yeah.
What you subscribe so
Mr. Beast collab, 2026. We're working with Amazon Productions, whatever the hell, and it's big news. We can't talk about it. Stewie came back and has been in the background making a deal with Bezos.
Do we just put you in a Mr. Beast costume?
Mr. Beast costume? I don't know what that means. I honestly don't even know what Mr. Beast is. I just know of...
He's popular. That's pretty much all I know.
That's the main thing, man. Yum.
Yeah.
It's not like it's different. It's not like I haven't ever had something like this before, right? It's just it's elevated. It's just like really incredible. And I love the intersection of the flavors coming back to what I love so much about ripe, but in a way that is so much deeper,
right?
And with much more variety, also just much more going on. It's not that I don't mind I love the vanilla flavors of those teas and stuff, but when it's always with the cherry, it's always with the dark wood and stuff, and there's not a lot of variance. Whereas you're getting a lot of like that fermented dark wood here, for example.
And there's just like
so
a deeper feeling to this.
Yeah. Oh, anyway.
Yeah, and it's one of those things that, it's like someone could be watching this and they haven't had this sort of tea and be like, I don't know what the heck these guys are talking about. I mean, it sounds like the flavor descriptors are like very similar to like, I don't know, very ordinary ripe.
Yeah.
And they wouldn't necessarily be wrong, but it's something that you kind of have to experience to know.
It's so transparently obvious too. It's not like, this is a fan. These guys are really going in about their tea hyperbole crap. It's like, this is a very obvious. It's you don't have to be a tea master. Not that we any stretch of the way are to be noticing. Wow, like this is a unique special tea.
Should we get tea master beards, like Santa beards, and just like repurpose them? Costuming.
Yeah, where's the theater kids?
Yeah,
get them out here.
Probably
just some sewing.
Yeah, it's like, here's the model, and it's just like the Pai Mei from Kill Bill or something.
Man. Tests, all of the tests. What do you think?
Mom does know. You know, if you have like a lot of this, I suppose this would be excellent ultralight.
Yeah, that's funny. Right.
But supply limited.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, price were not an issue. Even then, it's not even price; it's literally supply. Yeah. Man, still just tasting this so much. Yeah. Wartime? What do you think?
I think it'd be pretty good. Gotta say, maybe more of like the underground bunker wartime. You know, it's like let's brew some tea for the late nights of staring at diagrams or something. But
planning.
Yeah.
So nice. A little bit of the viscosity has waned slightly, but still so sweet.
Yeah.
Can people pick this up?
I don't think so.
Yeah.
But teas we like is probably the closest to doing this. You can find other kind of aged Liubaos in places like Essence of Tea as well. But Liubao is nice in the sense that you can find stuff like this that's not of this age, I should say. Right. That's not as crazy expensive. It's like, yeah, you're going to spend $2 a gram, but you know what? 5 grams of that, $10 is like that's still, I would say, perfectly affordable.
Yeah. This is a treat. And think about how long someone had to have this in their house, or factory or warehouse.
Yeah.
I mean, we just had to pay for it.
Yeah.
We're paying for literally history in this way.
Yeah, I mean, this tea is older than both of us.
Yeah. So, don't fault people who are selling these kind of higher quality, exquisite teas for for higher prices because it's reasonable. But yeah, if you're a super big tea nerd and you can go and grab enough of this to have a solid session or two with a friend, do it. Like
it's like a no-brainer.
Yeah. I totally agree. There are some teas where it's like, okay, I don't know if it was worth the price, but getting into these flavors, even for something that's a couple bucks a gram, it's not bad.
No.
So
I don't know what Teaspoon currently has in stock, but they have regular stocks like 1970s, 1980s Liubaos.
Yeah,
some of which we've featured actually.
Yeah, it'll be interesting too to see how these regions progress. I mean, I think things are going to become infrastructure is going to continue to build. Things are going to become more standardized, more access to farms. I know that as literal roads have been built, the ability for access to different farms to bring back to different factories has increased. So people get to go and bring their own home style to different tea productions and stuff, which is cool. I think it's weird to say that like the industrialization of tea is still happening, kind of.
Yeah.
But cheers.
Cheerio. Yeah, and I think this is just starting to lose a little bit of steam. You can even see it a little bit in the color, but it's still very tasty.
Yeah. And maybe even more than the color, notice it a little bit on the texture of the tea.
Yeah.
No stringency in any of these. To your point about the ultralight test, you can just kind of, however you want to do it, just add more heat. That's kind of the go-to on this. Wow.
My sense of humor is such that it's like this is like one of the more exquisite teas we've had in a while, and I might just put the dumbest thumbnail on it, which is like it's making the stupidest face, like 50-year-old. No, what? Liubao.
You gotta know you could get that old.
Yeah. See how many chins you can get on this thumbnail, Jenny.
You got it, soldier. Right on.
That's the wartime test for you.
Wow. Man. So stinking good. Nix, thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Sue.
Thank you, Sue. Subscribe to all this stuff. I'm pretty speechless. Send this to some other tea nerds. This is a tea nerds episode. Go have some Liubao with some old Liubao with a friend. Have some young Liubao and see what it's like. Go and just try more teas. And hey, subscribe to all this stuff. We'll see you guys next time.
Peace.